I the a-hole for calling my wife fat? I, 34 male, work in a physically demanding field. Myself and my coworkers are all fit people without a lot of body type variety. My wife, 32 female, is fat. The thing is, she's always been fat. The whole time I've known her. We dated when she was fat. We got married when she was fat. She knows she's fat. She's fat and she's beautiful. I'm happy if she loses weight, and I'm happy if she stays where she is. I think she's the most beautiful woman on the earth as is. One of my coworkers, Julia, 28 female, started complaining that she's too fat to be loved, and fat people don't get to be loved. Julia isn't fat. She's maybe 120 pounds. She works out 5 times a week and barely ever eats. I told her that wasn't true and that my wife was fat. She got really red in the face and started telling me I wasn't allowed to call my wife fat, that I was insulting her, and that my wife was beautiful and curvy. Carol doesn't like being called curvy. She thinks it's a label used to avoid calling people fat because it's a dirty word to most people. I told Julia as much. Julia started threatening to tell my wife I called her fat. She pulled up her Instagram and told me she was messaging Carol that I was being mean. I beat her to the punch and called my wife, put her on speaker and asked if she was curvy or fat. Carol laughed and said, I hate that curvy shit. Fat and beautiful, baby. I thanked her, told her I loved her, and hung up. As soon as I hit end, Julia went mental. She started screaming that I was abusing my wife. When I asked how, she said I was clearly brainwashing her into accepting the term fat to try to keep her complacent and from getting away from me. That no woman in her right mind could be okay with their husband calling them fat. I showed her a picture of my wife in a shirt that had BBW on it. She bought it for herself, by the way. She stormed off and hasn't spoken to me since. Now I just walked in today to an email from HR requesting a meeting with me. I don't think it's a big deal. I have my wife's blog for fat positivity, the shirt, and can easily call her for proof. But now things are frigid at work, and Julia constantly gives me dirty looks when we're in the same room. She ignores me otherwise. The person who's in the wrong here is Julia. Like, Julia clearly has her own self-body image issues that she's projecting how it should be onto other people. If the wife is okay with it, there is no issue here. The issue is just being made up by Julia and exacerbated by her. I think it's better for people to accept and live the realities that they're in and just live their life. And that's what it sounds like this wife is doing. They're clearly living their life well. Update. I met with HR at 4 o'clock today. Apparently, multiple coworkers who had overheard the conversation stopped by HR through the day to give their side/weigh in. I wasn't in trouble. They just wanted my side of things. It checked out with what everyone else had said too. I still don't know which of my crew stopped by, but I owe them my life. I offered to show my wife's blog, and our rep, who's a really nice girl, told me that if it didn't affect my work, it was irrelevant. The story had been corroborated enough by others. HR reiterated a lot of what y'all said. Even though Julia initiated the conversation, I shouldn't have jumped in. It was less of a scolding and more of a request to keep my nose out of other people's business. I'm sad because I thought Julia and I were friends. We talk about our mental health struggles, the hardships of the field we're in, and heavy things like that. Won't be having those conversations any further. Julia and I will no longer be paired on teams for patient care. I was told my part in the investigation was done, and they thanked me for my time, so I think I'm going to be okay. Am I the a-hole for telling my postpartum wife the same thing she told me? A backstory: when I was younger, I was bullied for being fat, and my mother wouldn't help me lose weight. So when I got into college, I lost a lot of weight and gained muscle, and now I'm 6'5" and 240 pounds. So me and my wife have been together since we were 25, and we are now 32, and had our baby 6 months ago. She's had a hard time taking care of him, so I've been helping in any way I can. So I haven't had much time to go back to the gym. I haven't gained that much weight, maybe 25 to 30 pounds, which is okay because I still look good. I plan to go back to the gym when he gets on a better sleep schedule, and my wife isn't so tired. She's recently been telling me that I'm getting fat, and I'm not as attractive as before. I don't care what the scenario is. That's just a really fucked up thing to say. I mainly brush her comments off, but she's been doing this a lot recently, and it's been making me upset. I've told her this, and she said she'll stop, but she hasn't. So I told her, if you don't stop, I'm going to say something you aren't going to want to hear. She laughed and said okay while rolling her eyes. That's not the right reaction. Oh, hey, you better stop saying mean things to me, or I'm gonna start saying mean things to you. I'm sorry. I thought there was one baby in this post. So on Monday, she had called me fatty and said that I need to hit the gym before she calls my old classmates. I said, I need to hit the gym. It's been 6 months since you've had the baby. You should not be looking like that. She ran off crying. I mean, yeah, you got her, but like, what am I reading here? I haven't apologized because I don't know if I'm wrong or not. If I'm wrong, I will go apologize apologize, but I don't know. So am I the a-hole? Edit, she has not had any body issues in the past. She always feels like whatever weight she is what weight she is. Yes, I do love her body. I find it attractive, so I just said that to get her back. Edit 2, a lot of you missed where I said I did talk to her about it. Edit 3, what I mean is that she's now a stay-at-home mom, so because she couldn't get him to stop crying in the morning, she wants me to take off work so she can go back to sleep. When I come home, we are equal. We both take care of him, but when I'm at work, that's her job. No, he wasn't up all night. He sometimes wakes up a little after I wake up. Yes, I wake up with him at night too. What the fuck did I just read? I'm rubber, you're glue approach to the relationship. I think we can all agree this is an everyone sucks here. The wife is definitely in the wrong. OP is in the wrong for their reaction to this situation. This poor baby, man. This poor baby is gonna grow up with the absolute worst parents in the world. Am I the a-hole for telling my wife I would choose my mom over the birth of our baby? I am 36 male. My wife is 33 female. We are expecting our first child soon. My mother, who is 70, was diagnosed with stage 4 cancer and has been hospitalized since it's so bad. Doctors say she will not survive since treatments aren't working well on her. My dad died when I was young and my mom took care of me while working 2 jobs so that I could have a good life. I feel like I owe everything to my mother. I bought her a house and whatever she needed so that she could live her older years well since we had to struggle so much. When I got home from work and visiting my mom, my wife and I were talking and she asked if you got a call that I was in labor or your mom was going to die, who would you pick? I told her I would pick my mom. She asked why, and I told her that I wanted to be there to say goodbye to my mom since I would never see her again, and so she would have somebody there in her final moments. She got mad and said, what about her and our baby? I told her I would try to be there as fast as I could after my mom, but that most likely wouldn't happen, so I told her not to worry about it. She was still mad and told me to get out of the house. I left and now I'm at my mom's house. So Reddit, am I the a-hole? What a weird fucking question. Talk about somebody who's trying to start issues. I actually very much see the logic behind what he's saying. I kind of agree with him. If my mom was dying, like I would want to be there for her to say goodbye. I'm almost leaning towards no a-holes here. I get being upset about like, damn, you're gonna choose your mom over me? Because I think there are a lot of situations in a relationship where you shouldn't choose your parents over your significant other, but she also created the problem. Like she created this scenario and OP was just truthful about it. I don't think his answer is wrong by any means, but I don't know. I don't want to call her the a-hole, but like she started it. I'm gonna go with OP is not the a-hole. The a-hole is the wife. She created the problem, and honestly, she's on the wrong side of the argument. So everyone's saying that I would be leaving her all alone. No, I wouldn't. She would have her mom there. She said she wanted her mom there with her. Yes, I was right for leaving my house. It was either I leave or she go, and I was not about to put my pregnant wife out of our house. Okay, that makes sense. Yes, I have been there for her. I have taken off work to comfort and help her in any way she needs during this pregnancy. I keep getting the same question about why did I leave my house even though I may own the house? It was late and I didn't want my pregnant wife out late at night, but she told me to leave, so I knew it was either me or her. 2, my mother is in the hospital. She is not at her house. Oh, so that like very well could happen actually. I don't know why, but like this didn't stick in my mind. Like his mom is actively in the hospital with cancer and could die. 3, I thought a lot about what a lot of you said about how I should put her first, but she doesn't put me first at all. She chooses her sisters over me all the time. 4th, I do not make her feel second. I have put my wife first, especially in emergencies, and I have tried my best to comfort her. I have gone home and now I'm thinking I don't need to apologize. I don't really know. No a-holes here. I get it from both point of views. Yes, at face value, her question is selfish, but with all that could go wrong, I understand her fear. And the only part that you got wrong was not understanding it's scary. Oh, interesting. Like I'm retracting my previous statement that this question was just there to pick a fight. I think they asked the question and it was like a merited question. The only thing is that the wife wasn't able to have a productive conversation that's like, well, if you feel that way, how you feel is valid, but let's figure out a way to make it so that we both can win. Because there is an answer. The answer is just have the baby at the same hospital where the mother's hospitalized. Am I the a-hole for not apologizing for having sex in my own living room? I, 28 male, and my fiance, 26 female, are writing this together. Obviously, we are engaged, but we have lived together in my house for about 2 years now, longer than we've been engaged. I have a brother, male 27, Ryan, and Ryan has a fiance slash girlfriend slash mother of his kids, Erica. Erica and him met in high school and they had their first child when they were 17. They have had 2 more children since then. For a while, they were separated and then together and then separated again. Honestly, I can't keep up with them. Erica is also the problem. I know I sound biased because Ryan is my brother, but everyone in the family agrees she's not a likable woman. She's argumentative, rude, and entitled. She constantly starts arguments with Ryan or her own children at holidays and seems to think she deserves everything Ryan has ever done or accomplished because they have 3 kids. Erica also took an especially rude attitude towards my fiance for whatever reason. My fiance wants me to emphasize here, Erica is a fucking bitch if you haven't gotten that. Her words, not mine. Well, with that being said, my fiance and I often babysit Ryan and Erica's kids on weekends or at nights when they are at work or just whenever they need. Erica is cordial enough to my fiance when she's asking for a babysitter, but other than that, they don't talk. And I think they both prefer it that way. My fiance wants me to note here that it's not just us who have an issue with Erica, it's my sister and Erica's own brother as well. So last week, my fiance and I went out to our favorite restaurant after work and had some drinks at a nearby bar and went home at around 11:30. We were both a little drunk in our own home with a locked door and decided that the bedroom was just too far of a walk, and we started to undress on the couch. 5 minutes later, my fiance is in a much more exposed state than I am, and she's on my lap. Suddenly, we hear the keys at the front door. Like scorned teenagers, we jump up. My fiance sprints around the corner to the hallway, leaving her clothes everywhere on the floor. Luckily, I still had my jeans on, so when Erica came in with her 11-month-old, I'm just so desperately trying to hide a raging boner, but not too exposed. I can hear my fiance around the corner half laughing, half sobbing of embarrassment, and I'm just looking at Erica like, since when the fuck do you let yourself into my house? Erica looks at me, looks on the floor, looks around for my fiance, then just walks out and slams the door shut. After that, we got a spew of angry text messages. Erica told us that we were indecent people with no class or integrity, that my fiance should respect herself more by not being so open about her sex life, and that she will not be returning to our house with her children as it's obviously not a safe place. Is it bad that my reaction to that would have been to tell her, well, you probably shouldn't go back to your house either because we've fucked there too? True or not? How funny would that fucking be? I asked Erica how she even got a key to our house and what she was doing coming in unannounced in the first place, and her answer was that she took the key from Ryan. They were fighting. She needed my fiance to watch the baby while she figured everything out. She said that we would never watch her kids again. Obviously, while my fiance was pissed at basically being called a whore, she's very hurt that Erica claims she will keep the kids from her. My fiance loves the kids a lot, and she really likes having them. When I saw how upset this made her, even though I think it's empty threats, I texted my brother. The text I received from Ryan seemed like they were written by Erica, but honestly, I can't be sure. It seems they both are now holding a grudge on what wouldn't be an issue if Erica would just stop being entitled. Ryan said that if we apologize to Erica for what happened, then likely she will forgive us. My fiance was ready to swallow her pride and just apologize, but I refused. I don't think we did anything wrong. You can't walk into somebody's house unannounced, and when there's like something going on, you're like, oh, I can't believe it. I would honestly, like if I were OP and the fiance, I would feel unreasonably violated. Hey, you can't just walk into our house whenever you want, unannounced. Easy, not the a-hole. Update, my fiance finally got it through her head that she shouldn't apologize, so thanks for that. Shortly after, Erica wanted us to babysit again, and I said, no, absolutely not. Not until you apologize to my fiance for the horrible remarks you made about her. She refused. My brother called me an hour after that asking what the problem is. I explained what happened. Turns out he didn't even know. We're both pretty sure that when he got into that fight with Erica, she was going out to try to find another man to sleep with while telling my brother she was staying with us with the baby. She's an effing psychopath. Yesterday, Erica called and apologized to us, begging us to watch the kids. I said I'd think about it, but until then, we need our keys back, which we've gotten. Drop your thoughts on this story or any other story in this video in the comments below. And don't forget to hit the like button and subscribe to see more reading Reddit videos and live streams every single week. Am I the a-hole for telling my daughter if she keeps her pregnancy, I'm kicking her out? I live alone with my 20-year-old daughter. My wife/her mother died back in 2021, and I've been really struggling with staying on top of bills and barely have been able to keep us afloat. My daughter can't hold down a job. She quits or is let go from every job she lands, so I'm financially supporting her. She's my daughter, so I don't have the heart to kick her out of my home, but still having to take care of her financially has been a big burden on me. For Christmas, neither of us really had any money, so we did really small gifts this year. One of the gifts she got me was a pregnancy test that indicated she was pregnant. I started panicking. The thought of having to financially support another person while also guaranteeing my daughter won't be able to get a job got me sick to my stomach. Also, the fact she thought I'd be excited by the news tipped me off to the fact she was planning on keeping it. When I asked questions, she told me she isn't positive about who the father is and was going to keep it. Honey, babe, what are we doing? I've explained to her if she keeps the baby, I'm going to have to kick her out of the house. She started arguing with me that I couldn't do that, but I was very firm in that if the baby stays with her, she cannot live in this house. She isn't ready to be a parent whatsoever, and I will not be able to support them. She accused me of forcing her to get an abortion, which I denied. She can keep the baby, she can put it up for adoption, or she can abort. What she can't do is keep the baby and live with me. When I told my sister about this, she was furious at me and said I should be thrilled to add a member to the family. I said if she's so excited my daughter can live with her then. She scoffed, obviously, because she couldn't afford to support them either. Easy, not the a-hole. I think a lot of this comes down to like education. People truly aren't educated on what it means to have a kid, how much that will cost you. It's very unethical to have kids when you can't afford to have those kids, because then that is just going to bleed onto that kid and bleed into how that kid is raised. To properly set up a kid for success, you don't want to not be financially stable, not even know who the father is. It's just so unfair to put that financial burden on your parent. You are still a kid getting your bills paid for by a parent. At no point should you think it's okay to have your own kid. That's not how you be a parent. So this one is pretty heavy. If you gotta leave the stream, just a heads up. Am I the a-hole? My wife cheated on me and ended her life. This happened in April of 2022. My wife had lots of issues with depression. We had a lot of ups and downs in our 5 years together. We had been married about 2 years when I found out she cheated on me with an old high school friend. At first, she told me it was only over text, but a few days later, she confessed to it being physical. I immediately packed some things and went and stayed with my family after she told me about the texting aspect of this. After 2 days of her begging me to come back, I went back to her house where she was still staying to get more things. I only packed a small backpack in the heat of things. I got there and it immediately turned toxic and I left. We had 2 dogs, no kids, thankfully. So part of the reason I wanted to get things was also to check on our dogs. After that visit, I told her I wanted her out of the house by the end of next day. The next day came along and she was found dead. She overdosed on all of her meds. I've been going to therapy for about a year now and I still feel a decent bit of guilt and sadness on how it all ended. Her family hates me for her death. We have no contact and that part still bothers me a lot. They hate me for finding a new relationship and new life about a year later. I am happy in my new relationship. We just moved in together recently, but the trauma still negatively impacts my life almost daily, including my current relationship. I suffer from a lot of anxiety, depression, and self-image issues now from the past few years. I'm missing lots of details, but there's still not a lot of closure. Am I the a-hole for trying to move on and be happy after the worst 2 years of my life? Edit, couple clarifications. I didn't kick her out of the house. I asked her to stay with parents while we figured out the next steps. I also did not leave her alone. Her brother was with her 2 of the 3 days before her death. I know it's a complicated situation. I just don't see any a-hole here. OP did what OP had to do. If anybody gets cheated on, they have the right to tell that person to suck a fat one and get the fuck out. And I think that's what they should do. If that person doesn't have the coping skills to own up to what they did and improve themselves and instead do something like the wife did, that has nothing to do with OP. It's not like OP told her to do that thing. Am I the a-hole for telling my husband that he needs to give me half his company if he wants me to be a housewife? My husband and I, both 35, have been married for 6 years and we have 2 children together and 1 on the way. He said that he wanted me to be a housewife and stop working. I was very disturbed by that, but he explained that it was better for our family and children since he can afford a very good living. After a few weeks thinking, I told him that I would agree, but only if I get half his company. He was surprised by this, but I explained further that the more I stay at home, the less chance I would have to find a well-paying job should we ever divorce, because I would have less merits, while he would stay making more money each year. So I want half the company. If we never divorce, which is the goal of all marriages, then it wouldn't matter, but should it end, it would be the price of me staying home and raising our children so he could be less worried and stressed out. His words that he would be less anxious and stressed out if he knew they were there with me rather than with strangers in daycares or nannies. When I told my friends, they called me the a-hole. My best friend was very angry and called me disgusting, so I'm a little taken aback. She didn't put what was the husband's reaction, because I think that's the most important to me, is like, I want to know how the husband reacted to this, thinking from the husband's perspective. Like, I have my business in a lot of ways. my business is my baby. I think it would be very hard for me to give 50% of that to somebody, but I think what the wife is asking is very merited. It has so much logic behind it. Yeah, like you're totally right. If you stop working and there was a divorce in the future, you'd be screwed. I'm gonna assume the reaction wasn't bad, because I think if the reaction had been bad, she would have put it into the post. Since it's not, I think we can give the husband the benefit of the doubt that maybe the husband was like, okay, that's a lot to request, but like, let me think on it. Assuming that, giving the husband benefit of the doubt, I'm gonna go with no a-holes here other than the best friends. Honey, get some new friends. I think this is a very reasonable request. I think it's just a problem in the marriage that they need to have an open conversation without letting feelings get involved, so that they can figure out, maybe it's not 50%, maybe it's 25%. Maybe they go to a business lawyer who can kind of break down the value of that. Am I the a-hole for saying to my mom at family dinner, well, I wouldn't stay with a man who hits my kids, so I guess we have different priorities. I'm low contact with my parents because growing up, my dad was physically abusive and my mom was emotionally absent / neglectful. They are in town visiting other family members, and we all decided to have a family dinner to catch up. For some background, my boyfriend will usually get me a nicer main gift for whatever holiday we're celebrating, along with 1 or 2 side gifts. The side gifts are usually something like a funny t-shirt or a stuffed animal. Last year for my birthday, one of the smaller gifts my boyfriend got me was a sweatshirt from Costco. It's just a gray sweatshirt with Costco's logo printed repeatedly all over it. My boyfriend said he just saw it and thought I would like it, and he was right. I really like it and I wear it all the time. I wore the Costco sweatshirt to family dinner last night. Someone at the table complimented it and I said, thanks, my boyfriend got it for me for my birthday. My mom scrunched up her nose and loudly said, he got you a sweater from Costco for your birthday? I told her that wasn't the only thing he got me for my birthday, and she replied, oh good, I would never stay with a man who gave me a sweatshirt from Costco as a gift. I was pretty put off at that point, so I said, well, I wouldn't stay with a man who hits my kids, so I guess we have different priorities. My mom didn't really respond at that point, and I could tell my dad was pissed. They stayed pretty quiet throughout the rest of the dinner. They don't like it when I bring up the fact that they used to hit us as kids in front of people outside our immediate family. My mom and dad were pretty angry at me when everyone else left though, and told me there was no need to embarrass my mom at dinner. They asked me to apologize and I won't. Does it make you the a-hole if you could have had the conversation in a more productive way? It's a point of contention, and this is not a really productive way to bring it up. Don't get me wrong, totally deserve, but with that kind of comment, like it's not like the mom or the dad are going to respond productively to OP bringing it up like that. Is there an avenue to be able to open up that point of conversation in a more productive way, being like, hey mom, you're pretty emotionally absent and neglectful, and dad hit us as kids. I want to talk about how that's not okay, rather than making a snide comment about it. It's not productive. The only thing that happens is that people get upset. If you're gonna bring up something that's a point of contention, the goal should be to bring it up in a situation that you can productively make steps for. Just to bring this up the way that OP did is just causing issues. In a situation where it's not deserved, we would call OP the a-hole. My ex left me the majority of his estate, amounts to $700,000. His parents demand that I leave it to his wife and child. My ex and I were together for almost 20 years. We never got married because it never felt necessary and we were child-free. I had problems with birth control, so he chose vasectomy. I found out that he cheated on me 3 years ago and I left him. He got with his affair partner. 6 months later, I heard that they were married. I found out that I was pregnant with my current boyfriend a year into dating, and even though we still weren't there in the relationship, we thought we could make it happen, and sure enough, we were very happy and we love our little family very much. My ex kept texting me on occasions like birthdays and holidays. I never answered, but when he heard about my daughter, he sent me a lengthy and hurtful text about me cheating on him, and he never texted me again. I never answered. A few months later, my ex ended his life. This was about 4 months ago. His wife is apparently giving birth anytime now. I was surprised. I was contacted by a solicitor to tell me that I have inherited my ex's estate. He left everything to me besides some to his parents' pension and his nephew. I got a letter from him apologizing for what he did and saying that he loved me and wished me and my family happiness, and he wanted to help with that. Now his wife and parents are very angry and demand that I leave them everything. I don't know. Would I be the a-hole if I kept it? Because that is what I want, actually, and what he wanted. I actually do think, unless OP is like financially struggling, OP should give everything back. OP's ex is a fucking coward. The consequences that are coming with his cowardly actions are falling onto OP's shoulders. Everything that is the ex's should be given to his wife and kid. He had a responsibility to that wife and kid, and he has actively let them down and not fulfilled that responsibility. OP doesn't owe the ex anything, but I do think the right thing to do is to correct this coward of an ex's mistakes that they have made. I think I do kind of have to go with like, you're the a-hole. But like, you're only the a-hole because your ex is a ginormous a-hole and put it on your shoulders to make the right decision. Not the a-hole, his current wife cheated on him and he knew, that's why he left everything to you. Block all. Wait, what? Where are they getting that they got cheated on? Oh, is it because they were saying that he got a vasectomy? That definitely changes the verdict a little bit. I just assumed like he got the vasectomy reversed. Now the situation has changed a little bit. There is the possibility that this kid the wife is giving birth to isn't the ex's. And if that's the case, I think your plan of action here is ask for a DNA test. If that kid is not the ex's, then I think not the a-hole and you're totally in your rights to keep the money. But if some way, somehow this is the ex's kid, then I do think you are the a-hole if you don't give the money back. This was the most upvoted post of January. Am I the a-hole for digging in my heels about sex in a prenup? I honestly can't believe I'm asking this, but my boyfriend has gotten so mad that I'm feeling a little crazy now. Both 34, he had a terrible marriage before me that ended in a dead bedroom, and he's determined to never go back to that life again. Understood. I think that sucked for him to experience. So now he wants a prenup and literally write in the prenup that we will have sex X amount of times in a week or else I get absolutely nothing in the divorce. I had already agreed to a 50-50 prenup of marital assets and we keep what we came into the marriage with. Now that's not enough for him. He wants me to prove that I won't stop having sex with him in the future. I tell him I can't prove the future and putting something in writing doesn't prove that. Now he says I must have a guilty conscience if I won't sign these terms because if I'm so certain it won't happen, then what's the problem? But to me, it makes me feel like a sex slave and not a loved wife or partner. Hey man, that's not how consent works. What the fuck? If I were the lawyer and some guy was like, so I want to put a sex clause in there where she has to have sex with me X amount of times per week or else they get nothing in the divorce, I would be like, what the fuck? Get out of my office. If that were me, I'd be like, oh, well, if you get your own, add to the prenup, I get my own, and I would make up something ridiculous. If you don't wake up before 7 a.m. X amount of times per week, then you get nothing in the divorce. Not the a-hole. I would reevaluate the entire relationship. If you're looking for more messy Reddit stories, click the link at the top of the description or the videos popping up on screen right now. The members of our community love these videos, and I'm sure you'll enjoy them too.